Hey guys, how you doing? I just thought I'd make this quick video. First of all, I just want to say thank you for clicking onto the video. Please like, share the video. I've been thinking lately about just a lot of things about us, black people, and the world we live in, and everything that happens, right? And I want to hear your views in the comment section. I've started to believe that there is no racism in this world. There's absolutely no racism. All right. Here is why I've come to this conclusion. And I'm a thinking person. These are my thoughts at the moment. And this is what I want this video to be a bit engaging. I want to hear some of your views in the comment section, and then we can take it from there. Maybe you can change my mind again, or maybe I can change your mind. And sometimes it's just good to admit, I'm one person. If you say something that makes sense that I didn't know about, I'm gonna say, you know what? Thank you. You've just helped me. There's no shame in that. The reason why I say there's no racism is this. I grew up in a country called Zambia. I think if you follow the unapologetic nomads, they are in Zambia right now. That's where I was born. I didn't live in a city they are in Lusaka. I was actually born in a village. And in the area I grew up, majority of people, almost everyone was black, right? There was a few white people and also like mixed kids. I remember one of my dad's best friend was like what we call colored. In America, you were just black. So this is where like one of your parents is white, and but they were African. These people only knew Africa pretty much. The guy was from Congo. His family, they are very rich in Congo. I think one of his brothers is like a minister, as in political minister, not ministries as in church. He's a very wealthy man. He's one of one of the most successful provinces in the Congo. He is the leader there, and he was even trying to become a president. So these are the people I knew. So when I was growing up, I knew nothing about racism. Absolutely nothing. Because we were all black, we all got along. Right? You could actually, this used to happen a lot. Someone would be walking down the street, because in Africa, sometimes we eat sitting outside, and you make a circle, the food is in the middle, and everyone is just digging in it, and you are chatting, and it's fun. There'll be someone, just a random person, walking by, like in the street, and you say hi to us, we'll say hi to them, and we'll invite them to come and join us. And in more than one occasion, people would come and say, oh, I'm actually hungry, and we don't know this person, and they'll just come and join us, and we'll create room for them, and they'll eat with us. Like, this happened. I'm not making this shit up. That's Africa. That's the part I grew up in. There was no hatred. Obviously there was the rich, there was the poor. And where I grew up, my family, we were doing okay. So we were the rich. We were doing okay than most people. But even then, we owned stuff. Like my grandfather owned businesses and all that stuff. So we were okay in that sense. However, outside of that, we were just, we created employment for people, and we were just like everybody else. There was no private school in the area I grew up in, so I went to a school like everyone else. Maybe I had more flair, as in terms of I had more money. I'll go to the tax shop and buy a Coca-Cola, a bottle of Coca-Cola. A lot of people couldn't afford that, but because I've always been generous, I'll buy it even for all my friends. That's just the way I am, And I didn't know anything about racism. From there, I moved to the Copper Belt. It was the same thing. You saw a few more white people on the Copper Belt. you know, there was plenty of white people in the corporate belt. But even those, because I remember one of the white guy owned like a farm, and at his farm he had a school and it was free education. By this time in Zambia you had to pay for education. Thank God they've gone back to that this year. Now again free education has come back. This is 20 something years later, they've brought back free education, which is just amazing. But this white dude had a farm, was providing free education, paying the teachers very well that worked at his school, and he would feed the kids there. You know, you had a farm, so you get fresh milk. You know, they'll have lunch and all sorts of things. And you know, he had a business in the city. Actually, one of my cousins worked there for him. So it's like the white people that were there, of course, they were the minority, so there was no need for them. Maybe we didn't see racism. Let me just put it that way. It wasn't in our head. So the guy created employment for people, paid them well. They were some of the highest paid in the industry. He treated everyone very well. That was sort of my encounter with white people. And also, when I grew up, like when I was about maybe 20, around one of our it's a small, like I wouldn't call it a motel, more like a guest house. Just a small thing. It has about 30 rooms around that. And sometimes we'll get people like Sans Frontier. Remember that Doctors Without Borders thing? You know, all different non-NGOs will come and rent, board there. You know, they'll have meetings and they'll use our conference room and live there. And I was just the only thing I realized was white people got more money. So every time they came, I'll triple the prices. That's business. That wasn't racism, right? So I didn't know much about racism. But now I look back in my life, I've started to realize that from what I was taught in school and what we saw on TV and what we taught about our own history, our history was not taught as black. And I think that started shaping an inferior mentality in me. And I think even most of my friends, and most of the people in Africa have come to realize that it's the thing we started learning in school. Because everything you learned, this person discovered that, and it was all white people. We never actually learned our own history. As a result, the inferiority complex started developing. Remember, I'm not from South Africa, so I didn't really encounter racism compared to someone who lived in South Africa, like apartheid and stuff. And also, the time I was born, Zambia has been independent for some time. Okay? So, the way I viewed white people, I just saw them. I didn't think, I thought all white people had money. All white people had money. They were rich. So when I moved to Australia to study, I had this view of white people, which was very different to what I saw in Australia. We didn't really smoke growing up in Africa as young people. I'm pretty sure young people now smoke, but when my time, we didn't really smoke. And the only people that smoked were like if it's women, especially, it would be like prostitutes or something like that. The people that you knew, they were like in the streets. Those are the people that smoked. And I moved to Australia and everyone is smoking. I got to this college and everyone there, all the girls smoking, and I'm thinking, damn, there's a lot of prostitutes in this place, because that's all I knew. And then I started discovering more and more things. Like I saw a thrift shop, and white people are going there, and white people are lining up to get free meals, and something hit me. There's poor white people, a lot of them. Like I actually had a better life in Zambia, as was like with my family, than most white people did in Australia. But What's this got to do with me saying there's no racism? This is one thing I've noticed. My experiences of things and all that stuff, right? History for the past 500 years has been modified a lot to put us, like the first time you hear black people, I think what comes to most people's mind is slavery. But what we don't realize is that slavery had nothing to do with black people. The word itself comes from Slavs, the European ethnic group who you will find in places like Slovakia, Slovenia, the Slavs. These people were enslaved by other white people a lot in their history. So that's where the term slave comes from. Had nothing to do with black people. By the time this was happening in Europe, Mansa Musa was making money. Mansa Musa was going on trips spending trillions of dollars in today's money. It wasn't like that. And people like to say, oh, he had slaves, and I'd like to be Mansa Musa's slave if he was giving that gold to me. It was different kind of slavery. So we were not part of this slavery thing until 500 years ago. And then the 500 years, our brains have been brainwashed so bad. But this is why I'm saying there's no slavery. Here it is. Think of it. Think of it. So why am I saying there's no racism? No, there isn't. It's all about love, guys. It's all about love. And this is what I've discovered. White people love white people. They'll put their people first. Proof. During COVID, during the Ukraine war, white people love white people, and they always put their people first. In my view, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, when it comes to black people love white people. 2, more than they love their own people. I know you guys gonna go, hey, what are you talking about? It's true. It's true. Let's give an example. Today, after Russia invades Ukraine and they take over Ukraine, hypothetically, let's say England decides to say, you know what, if Russia can take back Ukraine, we're also going to take back all our colonial territories. And we are going to start with, in Africa, we are going to start with Ghana. And Boris Johnson makes an announcement to say, we are going to invade Ghana in the next 2 weeks. And between now and then, I'm going to ask every able-bodied Ghanaian who is willing to fight for the English to stand up. And you get automatic citizenship to become an English citizen. You can move to the UK if you want to. A job will be waiting for you and everything. How many Ghanaians would stand up for Ghana? How many Ghanaian youths would stand up for Ghana? Now, let's say the same message is preached across Africa. How many African youths would stand up for their countries and fight the English? Or are we going to have lots of youths fighting for the English? Because remember, even during the times of the English fighting, like in Africa, it wasn't really white people fighting black people. What they'll do, they'll come in, divide the people, and have one group work for them and train that group to attack the other group. That's how they took over. So it was basically African fighting Africans. And because we didn't love one another, we lost. Because I tell you what, Ethiopia was not colonized. It wasn't just because everyone talks about the Italians. Nah, they beat the English too. How did they do it? It's because they loved each other a lot more than they loved the other group. Now, that doesn't mean, because you have to realize that when they got invaded, there were different tribes. And they didn't get along, just like anywhere else in the world. But when there was a common enemy, they came together and fought because they loved each other more. So they came together and fought against the common enemy. After they won, they went back and dissing each other. You know, they came together and fought a common enemy. They loved each other more than they loved the other group. You know, this is why, if you look at why a lot of leaders got killed in Africa. Who killed Thomas Sankara? All the French needed was to whisper in another African's ear and say, you know, kill this guy. And they didn't, the other African guy didn't even hesitate, because they said, you know what, kill him. We're going to give you some money. We're going to give you a mansion in France. And he didn't even hesitate. And we're going to protect you. He loved the French more than he loved his own people. I'll give you an example. The CIA used the same tricks in Singapore. But they didn't win, because the Singaporeans loved themselves more than they loved the CIA. It didn't work. You know, Lee Kuan Yew didn't get killed, like what happened to Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba. These things didn't happen over there. You know, and I tell you what, if today, as a black man, you wanted to infiltrate even the KKK so they can kill their leader, or any other European country, regardless of what you can promise me, it's not going to work. Because they love their people more than they'll love you. It's not racism, guys. The moment we start seeing this way, the world changes. Because I tell you what, at some point, the Chinese were called dogs. Remember when England was in control of China at some point when they colonized that? There was English business people were selling opium to the Chinese. And when the Chinese king stood up and said, no opium in my kingdom, English sent warships to go and attack the Chinese, because they were making a lot of money from selling opium and destroying the fabric of the Chinese culture. You know, there was apartheid in Hong Kong. Chinese and dogs this way. I don't know if you've ever seen Bruce Lee movies. You see it. Chinese and dogs this way, white people this way. They called the Chinese the same thing they called black people. 3/4 of a human, they called the Chinese. I didn't even know this until my Chinese friend told me. But guess what? When Mao Zedong, regardless of what you know about him, he started re-brainwashing his people to make them realize they're better than what they've been told. Things changed. Even with all the drama, even though you can say the Chinese is communism and they mistreat their people and all that crap, like you're still here, the Chinese will still love to be ruled by the Chinese. They will fight against an invasion of China. And they did it. They did in 1950 something. At the battle, one of the movies, one of the highest grossing movies last year in China was the Battle of Guangzhou or something like that, in which the Chinese army defeated the American army, even though the Chinese was against all odds, pretty much. They were not well equipped, they were outnumbered, blah, blah, and all those things, but they still defeated the American army. That was the highest grossing movie in China last year. Why am I saying this? It's about who you love most. For us, it's always a problem. Who killed Tupac? His own people. I'm sure even Biggie was killed by his own people. Malcolm X, his own people. You know, who destroyed Marcus Garvey's dream? His own people. All it took was some white guy to whisper in another black man's ear and promise them something, and quick to destroy their fellow people and send them 100 years backwards. And racism? So we can go out here trying to march. This is why we haven't achieved anything. Because instead of realizing that, you know what, let's love one another a lot more, I ask myself a question. Why did I even need to travel? Why didn't I just go to another African country to study? Another African university to study? Nah. Because of the brainwashing that had happened to my parents, to everybody. And we haven't recognized that. You know, this is why I like Wadamaya. And a lot of people can say, oh, what's Wadamaya doing? But here's the thing. He's showing us a glimpse into what we can create on the African continent. He's telling us to say, you don't have to go. And I thank him for that. And that's why he's having such an impact, because no one has ever done it what he's doing before. No one has ever gone there and shown Africa in a better light. To say, you know what, there's people who are here and they're making it. You too can come and make it. You know, because I tell you what, there's a lot of people in the West. A lot of people. There's some a lot of Africans, I mean. There's some Africans doing well, but majority of Africans, that's why if you go to England, anywhere where if you take the statistics there, you'll find that Africans, black people, in all of these countries, they're still at the bottom. Just like Marcus Garvey observed 100 years ago. Because we haven't realized one thing. In this world, it's about loving your own race. That's what it is. More than any other person. We can say be one, but we still don't want to work together. We don't trust each other. That's a curse. And we have reasons for not trusting each other. Because, hey, who killed Marcus Garvey? Who destroyed Marcus Garvey's career? His own people. Who killed Malcolm X? His own people. Who killed Thomas Sankara? His own people. Patrice Lumumba? His own people. Imagine if the people of Congo, you can see who was putting, if you see the video of Patrice Lumumba being put in a car, it was by his own people. Imagine if that army, all those soldiers stood up and said, you know, we are not doing this. Not to him. And turned their guns and pointed at the few white people that were there. History will change. If Kampaore in Burkina Faso sat down with his brother and said, Sankara, this is what I'm hearing, mate, and this is what these people want to do. But I don't want us to do, because we're on a mission to make our peoples, the people of this Volta region, the Burkinabes, make them better so they can have a better future. History will be different today. But no one, whenever we get promised something, we are quick to throw our own people under the bus. Because we don't love each other. That's what it's all about. Everything white people do is because they love white people more than they love anything else. And all we need to do is to just do the same thing. Do the same thing. That's all you need to do. Do the same thing. And in today's world, if 20, 30 years from now we are still complaining about white supremacy, then we have a problem. And our problem is this. We believe in this illusion, guys. It's an illusion. It's a fallacy. It will never happen. We believe that a world ruled by white people can create a fair society between white and black people. We believe in that. We believe, if you white people rule the world or a country and we are there, it should be able to create a fair society. It's not going to happen. We're chasing a fallacy. We're chasing something that will never exist. Because I tell you what, if we can have a society or a country ruled by black people, we can create a fair society. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I know most of you guys believe, most of the presidents in Africa are dictators and this and that and that. Most of them are not. We've had great presidents before. Some of them just got destroyed. But when you look at the presidents today, There's also a change in that, in the quality of the president Africa is having, and that's why it's moving forward. That's why some of the top developing countries are in Africa, in the world. We need to change our mindset and put our own people first. Instead of us complaining about racism, whatever you do, you know, and I see it everywhere, you know, but all I see at the core of that is just white people loving white people a lot more. That's it. If you go to a hospital, if you look at COVID vaccine, they gave white people first. In Africa, they gave them Johnson & Johnson, which was banned in America. That means they don't care about you. AIDS, they gave you AIDS. It means they don't care about you. Did they give it to their own people? No, they didn't. But they gave it to you. They've twisted history to put themselves on top and put you at the bottom. What does it do to their own people? It gives them confidence. And what does it do to you? It brings you down. And we don't even realize it. We don't even realize it. You know, we have everything, all the minerals we need in Africa. China doesn't even have the amount of minerals that we have in Africa. There's a place called the London Stock Metal Exchange, LME. You know what? China created their own. Instead of just relying on that, they went and created their own. You know, Elon Musk is not getting lithium batteries from America, he's getting them from China. But all the cobalt, the nickel, everything that's needed to make these batteries is coming out of Africa. Why are we not making the batteries in Africa? You know, we need to put our own people first, and I have to give it to the African billionaires. African billionaires are the most giving billionaires in the world. And this is what I'm talking about. When we put our people first, we will develop. When we trust each other, we will develop. There's the thing called, it's almost like Black Amazon. How many people shop there? Very few. Everyone wants to shop on the white Amazon. You know, but how is that guy going to develop and make that place better if you are not shopping on there? You know, Africa presents itself an opportunity to almost every black person out there. And some people are still complaining about, we bring up all these complaints all the time. Stuff the complaints. What's the solution? You know, oh, you sold us. Now you, come on, man. Show me the receipts to say I sold you. Because tell you, this is what you don't know. More Chinese were sold into slavery. But they're not going to say, you know, they were sold. You know, but they were sold. And you can see the receipts being sold. You know, people are lining up in China to travel to America. When they got there, they had to work for someone for free. Africans were captured. There's a difference. You can say about selling and say that. Show me the receipts, because in China you can show there's people who are writing stuff. Oh, this one belongs to that person and this person belongs to that person. But that's all we focus on. Oh, you sold us. That's all we focus on. Petty stuff. You know, do you have a better future under a white rule, or do you have a better future under a black rule? You know, most of us will say I have a better future under a white rule. But do you really have a better future? That's the question you gotta ask yourself. The moment we change our mindset and put ours first, our people first, Magufuli did it. Thomas Sankara did it. Kenneth Kaunda did it. Samora Machel did it. Malcolm X did it. We gotta put our people first, and the way we view the world is going to change. You cannot become rich by building a pyramid business. No one does. China has become what it is today because they took themselves out of the pyramid and created something that made everyone get attracted to China. Why are people going to a communist China? Why can't they go to the democratic India? Because China set something up. China told its poor people to save the meager money they had and invest it. If Africa did the same thing, we'll start creating industries for our people, lithium battery industry, the new technological boom that's happening in the world right now. And we'll be at the forefront. We even have EVs coming out of Africa by providing people with the education they need. I'll give you an example. Most African countries today like to bring in investors from America, from Europe, and they'll give them 10-year tax breaks. I understand you need big money to invest into mining. Usually you take about 3 years, at least 3 years, before you start making money, before you start making profits. I get that. But the reason why there's that situation where you now have to beg Europeans to come to your country and do stuff is because you haven't invested in the real education of your people. Because if you did, every university in Africa would be attached to some, if it's, let's say, the faculty of whatever, minerals or mining or something like that, it will be attached to real, the lecturers there, the professors there, will be actually be business people. Will be working in the real environment. And the education will be more about practical. By the time people graduate, they already know how to mine. They already know how to extract lithium to make it usable. They already know that. But that's not the case. All they're learning is theory. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. We wouldn't even be asking for this funding. Because the investors will just fund themselves, education will be free, and all these good things will come out of it. You know, we will say, this is, if you look at how even now they do it, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, the Arab Emirates. How have they managed to do that with only oil? You know, Nigeria has more than oil. Nigeria has oil and land. But Nigeria is nowhere near Dubai. Nowhere near. How come they get better deals and we don't? Because they put their people first. In Africa, we don't. They love their people a lot more. That's why they've been able to make money. One of the biggest companies in the world is Saudi Aramco. Why don't we follow the blueprint that these guys have done? Instead of us just waiting for Europeans to come. Because what those guys did is they started the company. And then they said, you know, you can come and work. How many chemical engineers from Europe, from Australia, from the US end up in Saudi Arabia and they get paid well? Today, if African countries did the same thing, where I say bring you what you know and we'll pay you. But we own it. We're just paying you. People can come there and work for 5 years and leave. We'll have some of the best healthcares in the world by bringing people there and just paying them, all the top people in the world, and paying them. They still do it today. I know Saudi Arabia, everything, a psychologist, whatever. Most of the people come from Europe. They just say, you know, we're going to pay you well, and it's tax-free. And people flock there. Africa can do the same thing, but no, we don't. We don't want to do it because we don't love ourselves more than white people. Because when you love yourself, it gives you confidence. When you trust each other, you grow. We don't do that. It's all about the mindset. So, what's the message I'm trying to preach here? Don't complain about racism. Find a solution. Matching is not a solution. Africa is open for business. Let's take that seriously. Africa is open for business. If we love each other more, if someone comes and whispers in your ear to kill a good African president, say no. and let your brother know that this is what's happening straight away. That's how Lee Kuan Yew survived the CIA, because these people were telling him what the CIA were trying to ask them to do for like $10 million. Money is nothing. Because let me tell you, at the end of the day, like my man Kanye West said, you're still a nigger. Just remember that. Kampaore will be going to jail. So why did he kill Thomas Sankara? You know, imagine if Thomas Sankara was still around. Burkina Faso would be a beautiful place. Would be heaven. Kampaore and Thomas Sankara, there'll be statues of them everywhere. Roads will be named after them. Their descendants and their descendants and their descendants will never ever have to suffer. But now all that is destroyed because someone wanted immediate gratification. He wanted to go and get kissed by the French president. He chose that and then destroyed the whole country's future. Africans, start loving each other more. If someone start being trustworthy, stop thinking of the illusion. We are at the at the point where in the next 30 years, if we are still complaining about white supremacy, it's not white supremacy's fault, it's our own fault. Because there are so many ways now where you can create wealth. You know, Bitcoin, you can do it. No one is stopping you from buying shares on the stock market. You know, there's no racism there. You can do it. No one is stopping you from setting up a crypto mining station in Africa. You know, the sun is everywhere. You know, Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey, they're about to do it. We need an Elon Musk attitude. This is why I say this. Yeah, Elon Musk, you know, the parents had a bit of money. South African, the parents, his dad actually co-owned an emerald mine in Zambia. But here's the thing. He only asked for $28,000 from his dad to start his company that later became PayPal. He sold that, made money. Started another thing, sold it, made money. And he kept piling and piling and piling. If Elon Musk had followed a strategy where it would be in fuel, where there would be like normal businesses, he was not going to be the richest man in the world because there's already people at the top of those businesses. It's a pyramid. They will allow you to be rich, but they're not going to allow you to be richer than them. But here is where Elon Musk managed to do very well. It's technology. Because technology is the wild, wild west right now. He kept bringing things that were not there. It's wide open. You know, no one was doing PayPal before he did it. So, Tesla, Toyota was doing the, whatever that car is, the little car that became the hybrid thing. But Tesla came and changed the whole game because there was nothing like it before. So what can we learn from Elon Musk's way of ascendance to become the richest man in the world? As Africans, we need to step out of the pyramid and do things that we've never done before. We need to step away from being part of a pyramid where we face economic sanctions if we don't cooperate in the pyramid. So we need to go and create our own pyramid and make everyone work under us. And we can do it. We can do it. How do you start? We start investing. Here's the thing. First of all, we start by loving one another. Because let me tell you something. It's not even about having a strong army. Because I'll tell you what. America got their butt kicked in Iraq. You think they won that war? No, they didn't. They got their butt kicked in Vietnam. You think they won that war? No, they didn't. You know. No, they didn't. Because you can go there and bomb up the place, right? And even put up a puppet president, but the people will be hostile. How many American presidents died after George Bush was in a thing with the mission accomplished in the background? More and more soldiers died after that. Because people became hostile. Until it wasn't. In Afghanistan, same thing. Americans got their ass kicked in Afghanistan. But they're not going to tell you this. The only thing we have to do is love one another more. In Africa, we have so much. Well, if we put love first, we can trade within each other. Why is oil in Africa going up in prices? Why? Because most oil mined in Africa is sold outside of Africa. Zambia is right now buying oil from Saudi Arabia when they can buy from Angola. But apparently Angola doesn't have a refinery. So they can't sell the oil that Zambia needs because there's no refinery. How do you fix that? Create a refinery. Angola just managed to get $13 billion. That was stolen from politicians. And how did they do that? They locked them up and told them the only way you're not gonna be in jail is to tell us where the money is. And everyone started talking. And they managed to collect $13 billion. They can invest $6 billion and create a refinery that's big enough to supply fuel to the whole of the SADC region. Nigeria can supply the whole of West Africa. Uganda can supply the whole of East Africa. And it will be cheap. And fuel will be cheap. But no, we don't want to do this because we don't love our people more. We love the West. So we give them our fuel so that our people can suffer. Come on, guys. Come on. Don't complain about racism. It's not white people's fault. It's our own fault. We don't put our people first. They're just doing the right thing by putting themselves first. And let's change our mindset and do the same thing. Put our people first. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Let's have a discussion. I'm waiting for your comments. Tell me if I'm wrong, please. Let me hear you, and I'll make another video. If I'm wrong, I'll make another video apologizing. Let's have a serious discussion. Thank you, guys, and thank you. Please like this video. Goodbye.